Welcome, traveler. Tonight, we arrive at a place where the lights never truly go out. The kind of place where every corridor hums with a memory older than its walls, and every guest leaves behind more than just a key. The Ashthorn Hotel stands waiting, grand, timeless, and patient. Its doors do not close, not for the storm outside, nor for the silence within. But as always, there are rules. And if you listen closely, you may hear them whisper through the halls, guiding, warning, watching. So, settle in. The night clerk is ready for you. And the Ashthorn never forgets a guest.
You wanted to know, didn't you? What it's like to work here. To sit behind this desk, night after night, in a building that doesn't sleep. People pass through hotels without thinking. They see a bed, a lamp, a keycard, nothing more. But this place isn't just four walls and a roof. The Ashthorn is old. Older than the bricks, older than the chandelier that hums when it shouldn't, older than me. And I've been here 20 years. Sit down. No, don't worry about the chair. Yes, it's stained, but not with anything you need to fear. At least, not tonight. I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you what I've learned. Then, when it's over, you can decide whether you want to stay the night or leave before the sun rises. The rules. You see that brass plaque on the desk? Most guests think it lists hotel policies. But those aren't policies. They're rules. The lifeblood of survival here. Never assign a guest to room 6 on the 4th floor. If the system insists, override it. Always check the mirrors in the lobby after midnight. If they show fewer people than are in the room, turn off the lights until the count matches. If the phone rings and no one answers, don't hang up. Wait until the other end breathes. Then say, "Not tonight." Guests may ask about the basement. Tell them there isn't one. Never hand over the service elevator key. If you hear knocking from inside an occupied room, don't respond. The guest inside is not the one knocking. At dawn, when the last guest departs, thank them by name. Even if they never told you what it was. Follow them, and you'll get through another night. Break them, and the hotel takes notice. Room 6. Take Robert, for example. A kid they hired before me. Thought he was cleverer than rules written on brass. His first week, he gave a businessman room 6. "What's the harm?" he said. "It's just a number." The man checked in, briefcase in hand. At 3 in the morning, I heard typing, clack, 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 from somewhere above. Odd, because the room wasn't wired for electricity anymore. By morning, room 6 was empty. Sheets soaked in a dark stain. The typewriter sat on the desk, though none of us had carried it there. And it was still typing. Keys pressing themselves, letter by letter, filling a page with nonsense that wasn't quite nonsense. As for Robert, he clocked out that night. But his name never disappeared from the schedule. His punch card is still here, dangling in the rack. Sometimes the phones in the back office ring with his voice on the line. Flat, hollow, repeating check and greetings like a broken record. Rule 1 isn't about superstition. It's about keeping the staff on this side of the desk. The mirrors. Then, there are the mirrors. They hang in the lobby, gilded and cracked, warped like water. Every night after midnight, I walk past them. Not for vanity. For inventory. Once, a storm trapped 5 travelers inside. They gathered in the lobby, dripping wet, shivering by the fireplace. Their laughter was thin, nervous. But when I checked the mirror, there were only 4 reflections. The missing one belonged to an old woman in a velvet hat. She sat quietly, smiling at no one in particular. I turned off the lights. Total blackness. When I flicked them back on, the chair was empty. Just a puddle of rainwater soaking into the carpet. The others didn't notice she was gone. They kept chatting, as if she'd never been there. But I swear, that night, every window reflected her velvet hat floating just beyond the glass. The phones. And the phones? They always ring at 3:03. Sometimes it's laughter. Sometimes crying. Sometimes it's silence, thick enough to make the chandelier sway. The first time it happened to me, I hung up. I was young and patient. Didn't see the harm. The lights exploded all at once. Shards of glass rained down, carving lines into my hands, blood soaking the guest log. That's when I learned Rule 3. Now I wait. I let the silence stretch until it breathes. Ragged, wet, close. Then I whisper, "Not tonight." The line always clicks. The kind of click you feel in your bones. Then it dies. The basement. There isn't one. That's what I tell guests anyway. When they ask where the elevator leads, when they hear the rattling beneath the floorboards at night, I say it's the boiler. But boilers don't whisper. They don't send cold drafts through locked vents. And they don't knock from below as though someone is asking, begging, to be let out. Once, a guest slipped past me, snatched the service key. He insisted he needed ice. He pried the doors open and vanished into the shaft. The cable screamed, the elevator dropped, and the echoes of his fall, they haven't stopped. Every night, at exactly 2:14, the shaft groans like it's swallowing him all over again. The knocks. Some knocks come from occupied rooms. Don't answer them. The first time I broke Rule 5, I thought I was helping. Room 12, 3 sharp raps at the door. The guest, a nervous man with wide eyes, looked at me through the peephole, pleading. But when I unlocked the door, the room was dark. Empty. The man was gone. Later, I saw him in the lobby. Only it wasn't him. Not really. His smile stretched too far, teeth too long, eyes too glassy. He sat in the corner, never blinking, until sunrise burned him away. The names. At dawn, I thank every guest by name. That seems simple, right? But names have weight here. They bind. Sometimes I wake before my shift, lips already murmuring names I haven't heard yet. And sure enough, when the guest arrives, the name fits. Once I forgot. Just once. A woman in a green coat slipped out silently, and I said nothing. The next night, her suitcase sat at the front desk, dripping water. Inside, nothing but a guest ledger with my name written on every line. Since then, I never forget. Why stay? So why do I stay, you wonder? Why doesn't the old clerk pack his bag, toss the keys, and run? Because the Ashthorn doesn't let go. Every staff member thinks about leaving. Some make it as far as the front doors. But when they step into the night air, they still hear the phones ringing. Still see the mirrors ripple. Still feel the carpet's iron set under their shoes. And eventually, they come back. Not because they're weak, but because the hotel remembers. Besides, someone has to tend the desk. Someone has to keep the rules. And you? Which brings me to you. You wanted to know. You sat down. You listened. That means the hotel has noticed you. Maybe tomorrow, when the phones ring, they won't be for me. Maybe the mirrors won't reflect you properly. Maybe room 6 will insist on a new guest, and your name will be the one printed on the log. When dawn comes, I'll thank you by name, even if you never told me what it was. Because the Ashthorn never runs out of guests, and it never runs out of clerks.
And so the night fades, but not the echo. The Ashthorn Hotel remains, its chandelier still humming, its mirrors still watching, its doors forever ajar. The guests may come and go, their faces lost to time, but the ledger is never empty. Another name will always find its way onto the page. Another weary soul will always stumble across its threshold, searching for comfort, for warmth, or perhaps, for something darker. You see, places like the Ashthorn are not simply built. They grow. They breathe. They remember. Each wall is a vein, each window an eye, each shadow a whisper waiting for someone to hear. It does not rest when the sun rises. It does not sleep when the last candle dies. The Ashthorn dreams, and those dreams are never gentle. So if you should ever wake within its halls, surrounded by velvet silence and the weight of eyes unseen, do not forget the rules. For in the Ashthorn Hotel, it is not you who remembers the house. It is the house that remembers you.